Let's now take a look at the Kenyan markets. Now, that's an exciting market to be in because yesterday with that market up very strongly after those results which showed Uhuru Kenyatta as the winner of the weekend elections. And today, that exuberance, I'd like to call it, certainly continuing. That market more than doubling yesterday's gains, 3.95% gain on the day, 4,925.91. We're going to be digging into those numbers with Kimathi to try to understand why Kenyans are so optimistic after that presidential election, which is being challenged in court. On the Kenyan currency front, certainly the Kenyan shilling should be showing some gains. It is not showing any gains at all. In fact, it's saying it's closing flat on the day, 85.30. Joining us now from our studios in Nairobi for an update on the markets is independent analyst Kimathi Ikiao. Kimathi, I'm putting doubt on the shilling exchange rate that I saw there because I would imagine, given the confidence that we saw in terms of money coming into the stock market and also the wholesale belief that seems to be pervading Nairobi that this election is done and dusted, would suggest that we'd see further gains in the shilling.
Yes, a very good afternoon to you. Yes, that's absolutely right, and I do concur with that particular view that with the equity market so bullish, we'd also expect that to be translated into the currency market. And one of the things that came out today through these MPC decisions that you touched on earlier is that the MPC also is cognizant that a lot of the diaspora out there is bringing back money home and investing in the country. So that is definitely likely to strengthen the Kenya shilling, and that's something we'll be looking at and expecting in the near future. Yeah,
so let's talk about where the money is going. We certainly see very, very strong gains by that Nairobi bourse today. Are you surprised by the strength of the gains that we're seeing here? As I characterize it as exuberance because I certainly haven't seen this market gaining as much as that on a single day in a very long time.
No, I'd be hesitant to categorize it as exuberance, but indeed you're quite right. You see, it's a rising tide, and all the ships seem to have also risen. And today we only had two stocks actually decline very slightly at that. That was CFC Stanbic and also the Standard Group, which both had very, very minuscule declines. So all in all, the entire market is very expectant. And in this particular market, keep in mind that there's actually only one particular way to make money because we actually don't allow for short selling. So with the general very positive political outcome that we had over the past week, we are in a very, very positive expectations mood as a whole. So the country is expecting a lot of very positive economic developments. The policies of the winning party seem to be very positive towards the Kenyan economy as a whole, and that is exactly why the markets are rising so substantially.
So what are you saying, you guys? Are you saying that this election is done and dusted, that Raila Odinga is not going to challenge the decision, that the decision that's likely to come out of the challenge by Raila Odinga is likely to be positive? I mean, what exactly are Kenyan investors reading here?
Well, from an investment standpoint, the outcome this far has been absolutely fantastic.
For sure.
We've had a peaceful period. We've had a peaceful election period. The markets are still running. Everything's up and running. So that is a very positive thing unto itself. Now, the aspect of one of the contenders going to court to actually challenge the outcome is in itself actually even more positive. And I mean that in terms of the country's institutions actually being respected. And these are the things that investors always look out for. Is the judiciary very strong and capable to handle something of this magnitude? Indeed it is. And that is exactly why the market is actually so positive, because the institutions, the structures in place are being respected and they are working. So everyone putting money in the country is actually could go to bed and sleep peacefully because they are quite safeguarded, because the investments would be safeguarded, and that's actually the very positive side of the entire process that we've had.
Absolutely, we must salute Kenya's institutions because certainly what we've seen so far is what you'd expect. Yes, there's a disagreement, but people are disagreeing politely and not fanning violence and getting those kind of things going. Let's talk about where we've seen gains, and one of the biggest biggest gainers today. Surprise for me is that it is TPS East Africa, and I would imagine people must be taking a bet that tourism is going to return strongly, and when those tourists come in, they will need somewhere to bank and change their money. And so we've got TPS East Africa gaining 10%. We've got National Bank of Kenya up 9.9%. Big gains there.
Yes, indeed, substantial gains for the tourism side. With this kind of a thing, with this kind of fantastic results we've had as far as the political side is concerned, we do expect a lot of tourists to come in. And keep in mind that these tourists are not only the beach and bush safari tourists, it's also the businesses out there, the investors who actually have to come over and see the scenarios for themselves on the ground. If you're putting up whatever project you intend to put up, you definitely will benefit from some of the tourism facilities we have around. So the tourism sector is will be one of the big gainers. The banking side, of course, naturally will definitely also benefit, because when you come over, you will come with your credit card, with your MasterCard, with your Visa, and those are the banking industry as a whole is also going to benefit from that.
Yeah, I was talking to a fund manager from Stanley yesterday, and he was telling me that one of the places where he's looking to see value is, of course, East Africa. But certainly I don't remember that Kenya was one of his choices, but after today's gains. So essentially we're looking at 7% in 2 days. It's a massive jump in that market. But there has been money flowing out of some of the counters as well. And one of those today, for me, which is a surprise, is Access Kenya. We saw results coming out from those guys. 62% increase in profit before tax, and a net gain of 700 new customers from the numbers that they showed us today. But that stock today being beaten down 5.2%. Did I miss something?
I'm not sure we're reading from the same script. I think Access was slightly up, but the results as they came out were very positive, a 62% up in terms of profit before tax. Access Kenya actually happens to be one of the best performing stocks on the Nairobi counter year to date. It's up about 49%. So and keep in mind that one of the leading political platforms over the election period we just had was in terms of embracing the digital age that we're in. So Access Kenya, one of the two telecom player listed, is definitely in a very good position to benefit from this kind of change towards the digitalization of Kenya, towards the Silicon Savannah. They are definitely very well poised to benefit from that. Now, keep in mind also, secondly, we have a very huge youth market. Their consumer spending is increasing, and they're definitely logging into their Facebook and so on. And Access Kenya is really quite a backbone in terms of providing the connectivity to a lot of other telcos and a lot of other corporate businesses and a few higher-end homes. So Access Kenya, the future looks quite bright, and the past year's performance is absolutely fantastic. 62% increase in profit before tax.